Hey y'all, come cook dinner with me. Today's menu is going to be foil baked broccoli, steak, and potatoes. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut the steak up into rectangles so that I can evenly get all the pieces the same size, because I want to make sure everybody has the same amount on their plate. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take those rectangles and cut them up into squares so that I can have them in like little nuggets so that it'll be easier for me to season, and it'll also make more room inside of the foil so that it's not all super bunched up. Once I finished with the first steak, I went ahead and did the same thing with the remaining of the steaks. Now that I was done chopping up the steaks, I went ahead and rinsed my meat off because it was bleeding badly. And after a while, some of the little fatty pieces did start falling off, so I just went ahead and continued to take those off as well. Now we're going to move on to all the seasonings I use. There will be a list on the screen of all the seasonings I use, but you will also be able to see them in the video. So I just went ahead and finished seasoning up my meat. Next, once I finished seasoning my steak, I went ahead and grabbed 3 things of foil because this meal is for 3 people. I went ahead and made even slices of foil so that I can go ahead and add the steak on there so that I can move on to the next step, which is working with the potatoes. To the potatoes, I went ahead and just cut each potato down in the middle, and then I went ahead and cut them up into little squares so that, like I said before, I can make sure I minimize my space inside of the foil and everything can fit, especially once I get to the broccoli. But just go ahead and cut everything up into little squares. One thing I will recommend with the potatoes is to make sure you guys boil them for about 6 to several minutes, just so that you can ensure that they are finished, because when I finished cooking the meal, since I didn't boil them first, a couple of them were still hard. So just a key tip to just boil your potatoes before you put them in the foil. Once I was done cutting up the potatoes, I went ahead and seasoned the potatoes with the exact same thing I used on the steak, except for the meat tenderizer. took the broccoli out the bag and then added a little salt on it, but that was about it. And this is how everything is looking before I put it in the oven. Next thing I did is I went ahead and melted some butter. I did eventually end up using a whole stick of butter, but I went ahead and put it in the microwave for about 20 seconds, and then I started preheating the oven for 350, but I did eventually go back and put it up to 420. Once the butter was melted, I went ahead and added the seasonings in there to just ensure that I get all the rich flavors from the seasonings, and this is me just pouring it evenly over every single steak bowl. Once the oven was ready at the temperature of 350, I went ahead and put on a 30-minute timer. When I went back to check, it wasn't cooking fast enough, so I went ahead and put the temperature up to 420 and let it cook for another 20 minutes. After that 20 minutes, it was perfectly cooked. Once everything was done, I went ahead and added some shredded cheese on top to everybody's liking. And this was the final look, y'all. It was so delicious. And I hope this recipe was super easy to follow. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.